Being a hunter, I've always been interested in hunting just about everything there is to hunt. And I've hunted virtually everything there is to hunt in this part of Wyoming, and killed a lot of game in my lifetime, in my 54 years of big game hunting. When I was young, this country, there were old timers that had killed out most of the lions in this country. But there was always just an odd one or two lion around. And I saw a lion or two over my years of in the mountains. But I always wanted to kill a big lion. So about 27 years ago, I really had the desire to, to hunt lions and hunt lions with hounds. I didn't have any hounds. I learned of somebody that had a hound, and so I went and I was given this Walker hound dog, and it worked out to be a tremendous dog. And my son and we started hunting lions with this dog. And the very first lion track we ever put on this dog, put this dog on the lion track, it was maybe an hour and a half. We hadn't turned this dog loose, and we had 3 dogs with us. Didn't turn any of them loose. We had them on leashes. And anyway, we followed that lion track, and I come around the corner, and at 10 feet there was a lion right there. The dog knocked me over because the dog headed for the lion. And I unsnapped the leash from the dog, and the dog run down the hillside where the lion went. And in about a minute and a half, the dog was being treed. And it put this great big huge lion up, about a 240-pound lion, in the tree. And that was really the most exhilarating thing, and it was so exciting that we continued to hunt lions, my son and I. We really enjoyed ourselves. It was really great to see these dogs, and these dogs worked. The 2 other dogs that were along had really no experience, much, but the dog that treated that great big cat was a very experienced dog. And that dog became ill, and we didn't have a dog a year later. Later, I got another dog. It was another Walker hound like the hound that I had. It was also a tremendous lion hound. And we'd leave just maybe 20-30 minutes before daylight to get into country where there might be lions traveling, and we always needed fresh snow. And just shortly after daylight, with this other dog, we cut a lion track. It came across the highway, and it was a big lion track, and it was not very old. It probably was no more than an hour or so old, that lion track. Well, we had 2 dogs, and I had the Walker hound, and I had a red bone Walker cross, and he was an experienced dog, but not as experienced as the Walker hound. Her name was Chris. There were several feet of snow on the ground, so it wasn't easy traveling, and it was in really rugged country. And we turned the dogs loose after a while. We didn't travel very far. I knew that track was really good, and I knew that dog would put that cat up probably in pretty short order. We turned the dog loose, and we basically took that lion track and those dog tracks, and the dog finally just was kind of, winding this cat because it was traveling so fast. The dogs were, and the dog's nose was so good, it didn't have to run right in the track. It could run 10-15 feet from the track and be right on the scent. That's how good this dog was. And in about 40-45 minutes, we could hear those dogs barking treed. Well, it took us another about that length of time to get to where the site was where where the dogs had this lion bait up. We got there, we didn't see that cat, and finally we see the cat. Well, we were really in some deep snow now. We're in the snow that's 3 and 4 foot deep, and this was awful hard to travel. We had day packs and we had food, things with us, and ability to build a fire if we had to warm up or anything. And it ended up that this cat, there were some cliffs, then there was a deep canyon that dropped off a couple 100 feet, and then it come up on the other side, and there were various trees around. Well, not far from these cliffs, that cat had, I think, jumped from the cliff out onto a tree. And we first didn't see it because it was down kind of below where the cliffs were, but the dogs knew it was there, and we couldn't see it. And with the barking, the cat just simply went up the tree a little bit to where we could see this big cat in the tree. Now, this cat isn't 25 or 30 yards from us, and the dogs are right there on the cliff because they can't go anywhere. The tree's out from the cliff. My son shoots the lion. Oh man, all hell broke loose. The cat fell out of the tree. The cat fell down in the canyon. The dogs are going nuts. The dogs figured out on their own that they had to leave the cliff because they couldn't jump off of this tall cliff and go around, and they went down in the canyon, and we followed them down into the canyon. Now, the snow is right here over our heads. That's how deep the snow is in the canyon. We've got a tree limb apiece, and we're pushing this snow and we're pushing this snow. We'd had snowshoes on. We got snowshoes on our day pack. We can't use them in all that deep snow because the snow is right at 6 feet deep. Absolutely. And we're pushing snow all the way, and we get across kind of the bottom of the canyon, and the dogs are just going frickin' nuts on the other side of this canyon. And we're so excited. We're so wet. We're just wrung out with snow and sweat and exhaustion. And the dogs are just going nuts. And we don't know where this cat is, but it's over there somewhere. Well, we get across this canyon. It's only maybe 40 foot wide across the bottom, and steep up the other side, and we had to use tree limbs in each hand to work our way up the other side, about 70 or 80 feet up the other side, up to where we could stand and try to figure it out. And the dogs are still going damn nuts, and we can't figure it out. And finally we looked way up a spruce tree that had hardly no limbs on it, and up there about 100 feet is that lion. And I walked over underneath the tree. The snow's not as deep as it was in the canyon. It's only about 6 foot deep there. 4 foot deep instead of 6. And there's blood. There's blood dripping from about 80 feet up, or whatever it was, 80 to 100 feet in the snow. And I look at that cat, and that cat's just shaking. He's just shaking. I thought it was going to fall out of the tree because it was shaking so bad. Now these dogs are just going nuts. The one dog is off to one side, the other one's off to the other side. So I said to Landon, I said, there's the cat. And, you know, he couldn't hold offhand, you know, at that distance very well. And I plugged my ears. And I let him rest both his hands on his 45 long Colt over my shoulder, and he shot. The bullet hit the cat. That cat just comes flying out of the tree, pretty much lifeless. It hits the ground. Now, these dogs are just virtually almost right on top of the cat. Hits the ground, and the snow just flies because it's 4 foot deep. And that cat couldn't stand the bay of those hounds, and the cat went in a tree 20 feet away, up the tree only about 6 feet. And this cat is 9/10 of the way dead. and it's just hanging in this tree, just hanging in this tree. And my son, Landon, I get a hold of the dogs so we don't hurt a dog, so the cat doesn't get to the dogs, get a leash on them. And the cat is just absolutely trembling beyond your imagination in a cedar tree up 6 feet off the ground, just hanging on in there for dear life. Landon shoots the cat, and the cat just falls down, and when it falls down, the cedar tree was right on the edge of the canyon, and the cat slid all the way to the bottom of the canyon in the snow. We had to go back down in the canyon. We dug for 10 or 15 minutes to dig the cat out of the snow down on the bottom of the canyon. We had the dogs with us. Right down in the bottom of the canyon, luckily there was one tree there. That's all there was. We chained the dogs to the tree, and Landon held the cat, kind of kept track of the dogs, and I skinned the cat. And I'm right down to my wool shirt. I always travel, everything I wear is wool, because when wool gets damp, it affords you some warmth. It took me pushing an hour to get that cat skinned out. And now we got to climb out of the canyon. Well, we climbed out of the canyon with the help of the dogs. We had leashes on the dogs, and they helped kind of pull us up. Gradually, we got up out of there. And Landon was carrying the draped cat, because, you know, it's his cat, he's carrying it. And it's draped over his shoulders. And we only get, I don't know, a couple hundred yards. We're kind of up on the ridge where we got better traveling, and it's only several feet of snow. And I've got a dog on the leash, and he's got a dog on the leash to help us get along, to kind of pull you along. And boy, he says, I'm getting cold. I thought, boy, oh boy, you know, he's got this lion skin over his shoulders. And anyway, I said, well, just take that cat off your shoulders. And I took off, I had on, you know, long johns and a regular weight wool shirt and a heavy wool shirt and a wool vest. And I gave him my heavyweight wool shirt, so I had on just light wool then. And we know the temperature's dropping, and when we left it was about 20 degrees, and I can tell it's probably 5 below, because the temperature was just going down, down, down. And he got that heavy wool shirt on. I says, I'm going to stay just fine no matter what, because, you know, that's just me. And it wasn't long traveling, you know, quarter of a mile or so. Landon was pretty warm, and he had that hide with the hair towards him over his shoulders and keeping him warm. And the dogs are pretty damn exhausted, and we're exhausted, and it's all kind of downhill country. We get to the outfit, and we put the line in the back of the pickup. It had a camper shell on it, and we got the two dogs, and right away the female walker dog, Chris, she wants to jump up in the back, because that's her cat. And the dogs got into a big damn fuss, and we had to separate the dogs. We ended up putting Chris up in the cab with us, where it was warm, because she was even cold. And the other dog, he wasn't that cold, he wasn't affected. And once we separated the dogs, put the other dog, the male dog, in the back end with the line, everything calmed down, and we were fine. And the pickup started fine. We warmed it up for about 15 minutes till we had good heat. And of course we're soaking wet, and you know, we stopped moving and everything, so now we're getting kind of pretty chilled. But anyway, that is just one of our many lion hunts, but that was the most exhilarating, hardest hunt that a guy could probably ever go on, because of the conditions, the snow conditions, and the whole makeup of this hunt. So we continued to hunt lions for a number of years, and gradually our wonderful dog passed away